Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I almost want to say that with a British accent because I have so many UK YouTubers that I watch, and it's just like, hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Anyways, this video is going to be about my 2019 New Year's resolutions. So I wrote down a bunch of things after being like completely obsessed with watching a lot of self-improvement videos on YouTube, and also reading a lot of books about self-improvement and creating good habits and how to get rid of those bad habits. Like the top of my list, strive to be the best, the highest expression of myself. I've discovered that from watching a video of one of the speeches that Oprah gave, and I just felt like that resonated with me so much because I think that that's what we're all trying to do. That's what we're all striving for on a daily basis. It's a never-ending process, and so I felt like that would be like the best thing to put because I want to always be a work in progress. Learning about the importance of emotional state, meaning just like how you're feeling before anything. Like, am I feeling this morning just before I go to work? Am I feeling irritated? Or before I have this conversation with my boyfriend, or before I respond to what my boyfriend said? Because sometimes like I just go off based on like if I'm irritated about like different things that are happening with my business, different things that might be happening with like a regular 9-to-5 job, or like what might be happening in social media, my social life, etc. So just being more conscious of that can be something that I definitely want to improve on, because instead of focusing on my emotional state, like being controlled by outward factors, I would like to be able to being full of yourself. And a lot of times people feel like, no, I feel like I'm inclined as a modest person to kind of shrink myself so that other people can feel better about themselves, and like I don't want to approach people in a way that they would feel threatened by me, by my confidence. But I am a confident person, but I just want to be so full of myself because I need that confidence to be able to go out into the world and offer what you have in a bold, beautiful way. And in doing so, I will have enough of me to be able to give that to the people that I love and the things that I love. To study my habits, bad and good. What I do on a daily basis. Am I exercising regularly? Am I eating junk food regularly? Am I eating healthy food regularly? Like when am I more inclined to eat health, and when I'm more inclined to exercise and be happy, and when am I more inclined to be irritated or angry, and what do I do about what are the habits that kind of follows. Oh, and also to be honest with myself in understanding like my habits, then develop good habits to replace those bad habits. And the fifth would be to do more and think less. I find myself as a creative person and a entrepreneur, small business owner. I have all these ideas that I collect, I write them down in notes and all this stuff, but I never really, and I start videos and I start new styles and I start new collections, but then there's no follow through, and so like I think too much and I do not enough. And so what I want to do is like, if I think about something, I need to immediately do it instead of trying to figure out how it's going to be the perfect way to do it, because then I feel like, okay, it's never going to be the perfect situation, and then I end up not doing it. But I just need to do it. The sixth is to be consistent. I struggle with consistency a lot because a lot of the times I'm relying on my state of motivation, and so I'm like, okay, am I motivated to do this workout or not? Am I motivated to work on this new collection or not? And that way I'm never going to be able to accomplish my goals. And so this is going back to the habits and being able to rely on those habits to make it so that it's not motivational based for me to be consistent. It's just a lifestyle change, and those habits will be the thing to make me consistent. Another part that I wrote down to be consistent is also to make a contract with myself. To make a contract with myself is difficult. It's just like when you have to go to work and you have to to a physical job and report to that job at a certain time, at a certain days. You have a boss, you have someone that's going to be there to be like, hey, you didn't show up this day. Why didn't you show up this day? Why did you show up late? You didn't make this deadline. And as a business owner, you tend to kind of give yourself slack and a little bit more slack and a little bit more slack until it's just like you blew the deadline. You're showing up to work late. I'm starting my days at like 10, 11 o'clock instead of like 9 and stuff like that. So just be consistent, but also have my contract with myself to be like, okay, Simone, these are the things that you need to do. And the second part of that is to have a reward and punishment system. I'm not sure what that's going to be for each thing, but based on my habits and things that these standards that I would set for myself, if I'm consistent with them, maybe on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, I'm able to say, you know what, Simone, you were good with this, so you can have yourself this treat. But if you're not good with this, if you were not consistent, if you did not follow through with this contract that you made with yourself, then guess what? You don't get to go out this weekend, or you don't get to do this. You know what I mean? So it's just like a system of reward and punishment to help to keep myself accountable for these contracts that I make with myself. And the seventh would be to let fear be my friend. I want to do things that really scare me, and instead of playing it safe all the time, instead of always saying that, you know, I'm going to put this off to be the last thing that I do for the day, instead of being one of the first things that I do because it scares me. And also to open myself up. I feel like I'm very concerned about what people are going to say, how people are going to react, so I'm not going to say this, I'm not going to really show my true self, because maybe people are going to think that I'm ugly or I'm goofy or I'm weird. But this is a personal journey for me, and it's also beautiful for me to look back and say, hey, Simone, you did that, and maybe once I do it, it won't feel like that big a deal. Like I'd be like, wow, you were afraid of this? Why were you afraid of this? Come on, like this is easy. And I see people talk about that all the time, but it's just like seeing it and doing it are two different things. And so I really want to. There are a bunch of things that that scare me already, and I've been already taking off that list to try to conquer those fears, because I'm realizing that just because I'm avoiding something for the short term definitely doesn't mean that it's gone away. It's still there. And so I just need to deal with it. It's going to be easier to deal with it in the short term and get that out of the way and deal with that fear than waiting for it to be something that I do at a later date when it's more stressful. Eighth is to completely focus on my long-term goals. I kind of think that you kind of got that feel about consistency and everything, but it's just like sometimes those long-term goals are hard, and it's hard to feel that same motivation that you had in the beginning, to continue that motivation to like through the middle of the year and towards the end of the year. Maybe the end of the year is a little bit easier because you're like, okay, I have this like 2 months to try to figure this out. Like and now I need to kick myself in gear. But what about that like middle of the year type situation? And when you don't have the motivation, it's just like, okay, really still like writing that goal down, what my goal is, my long-term goal, and focusing on that, not at the beginning and the end, but throughout the year. And so that's why I think that the quarterly business resolutions will be very beneficial for me, because it won't be just like this big thing where I failed throughout the year in keeping myself accountable. I'm keeping myself accountable through the quarters to make sure that, okay, it's almost like any business. You're like, okay, you had the last year numbers but you also have quarterly numbers and stuff like that to make sure that you're to assess the year that you have, and then how you can make what changes you can make to kind of make it an even better year, before the year is over. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What are your goals for 2019? I would love to hear. Just leave it in a comment below. comment in okay a video that of a speech that, God, my elbows are ashy. Like, this is from planking. Like, planking, I don't know if somebody has a solution, or maybe I'm planking wrong. Like, these elbows are struggling. Anyhow,